Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy JTL, aka Out from the North 18, back with another one. On y'all way in, make sure y'all hit that like button as well. Subscribe if this is your first time checking us out over here on the JVJ Network. So tonight we got a great show for y'all. It's gonna be kind of cringy though. I'm not going in front with y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's a little disappointing of me having to bring this type of information, but this is something that we've been talking about for a good little while in these man spaces, especially the manosphere space. It's something that I didn't realize was going on like that. So thank God for brothers like, O'Shea Duke Jackson or Dr. Tia Son Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Brothers just bringing this information like we need it, especially God rest his soul, Kevin Samuels. This is something that we really have to talk about because it's like a mental attack, you know what I'm saying, on what's going on when it comes to men, especially, brown and black men, you know what I'm saying, certain things we're facing. And we always talk about the system of oppression, but we never really deep dive into what's going on with the whole fembox movement and how, you got these people that's getting with all of our women and trying to get them to like turn against us, you know what I'm saying? But before I get started, I want to go ahead and shout out to the brother, the People's Podcast, aka Israel, said checking in, salute, shout to you, brother, shout out to you. Like I said, with this show, what I want to talk about is the females who are educated, and instead of them working together with us, they're actually coming against us. And the great excuses that they have been using is, oh, well, we're just trying to be inclusive, intersectionality and all of this stuff. But the way that they're doing is not cool. You know what I'm saying? It's hurting our black boys. And when I seen this, it really bothered me to my core because they're leeching off the struggle that young black men go through. We have our women that are getting everything that they need, and versus us networking and working together, it's just been separated and made to seem like we're the enemies. Black men don't have that power that they're talking about. Like, we're the ones that's been oppressing them since we came to this country. The more information I find out, the more it's blowing my mind. Especially the information I'm finding out that black men were the ones brought to this country before they even started bringing women over here. So that's what we was going through. We've been going through it. So we're not each other's oppressors. We're not each other's master and none of that shit. But now we're being looked at as such. So I got my boy JV here. He gonna be in the background doing most of the work. But Jay, for a second, come on. You ain't got to come on screen if you want to, but just let them know what's up real quick, where they can find you at.
How the hell I gotta come on screen and come and say something? Hey, what's up, y'all, man? Let's talk with JVJ, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like, make sure y'all hit that subscribe, and I'm ready to tune in to see what we got tonight, y'all.
All right, and don't forget, Jay, if you see anything on any one of these videos, you already know. You jump in there, go ahead, say what you got to say, because I know it's gonna be a little triggering. So if you got the first video ready to go, you go ahead, pull it up. Now, mind you, this is the woman that's helping the
Earlier this
so-called
year, we launched
African
what we call
policy.
Brothers Keepers. It's all about uh, a whole bunch of folks, educators, business leaders, faith leaders, foundations, government, all working together to give boys and young men of color the tools that they need to succeed and make sure that every young person can reach their potential.
My Brother's Keeper, while launched this year by President Obama, is by no means a brand new initiative. It's a new name, it's a catchy name, and it's great that it was announced now by the nation's first Black president. However, the work of funding Black men and boys, of funding programs that serve men and boys of color, goes back about 20 years or more.
In the aftermath of the acquittal of George Zimmerman, who killed Trayvon Martin, the president responded to the grief that was widespread with what he considered to be the interventions that he could put forward. There would not be any serious or significant structural kind of interventions, new programs to fight the rollback of civil rights and other kinds of social protections. Instead, it was going to be a healthy fatherhood kind of initiative in which there would be no government money, but there'd be essentially these feel-good kind of programs that provide important things, but they don't provide the kind of things that would actually make a difference.
Our dollars have almost created a deficit in funding for women and girls of color, right? And so not only are we funding programs and interventions, but we're also funding research and foundations that do the work with integrity, as most of my colleagues are doing, and as the folks at the Men and Boys of Color table are doing, ground their work in research. Right. And so they seek to do root cause analysis, and then that informs the philanthropic strategy. And so they've invested in the research to find out what is happening to men and boys of color, and have not invested in the research for women and girls of color, and therefore cannot have a philanthropic strategy to address the needs of women and girls.
I would have loved to see it in the program, and still hope to see in the program. There's still time to see in the program a gender and racial inclusive lens that also includes girls of color, LGBTQ youth, trans youth, and gender nonconforming youth.
We can't wait any longer. This has been going on far too long. It's time for people to realize we're part of an integrated community. We're in the same families, same communities, same schools, same churches. And so anything that's going to work holistically for the community has to work for women too. We've been waiting for over 23 years. This has been going on since the late 80s, early 90s. This isn't going to go away. It's not suddenly going to be the case that someone's going to wake up and say, oh yeah, we forgot about the women and girls. This has created its own industry, its own frameworks, its own understandings. And in that understanding, women of color and girls are simply marginal, or they can handle it themselves, or they're really not suffering as much. The fundamental problem at this point is much of the data that has been used to support the exclusion of women and girls is only data that asks the question about men and boys. So they're basically predicating the exclusion of women and girls on the fact that they've excluded them all along.
To my colleagues in philanthropy,
Pause that real quick, Jay. All right, so I want to speak to that real quick, and they said a lot. But real quick, Brother Israel said almost 200 years before they got here, and he's speaking to what I said earlier about, Black men being brought to these different countries, to this country, Brazil and everywhere, before they actually brought women here. But they said a few things, and the thing that tripped me out is, okay, their argument has been they've only been worrying about Black men and Black boys. They haven't been worrying about Black girls. Okay. When they made programs for assistance for people to get houses, food, Medicaid, that all went to Black women. You was a single mother, you can get a home, get food stamps, you get welfare checks. That was already going to Black women. We already know that if a domestic situation happened, y'all know what I mean, DV, domestic situation happened, and the police are called, and it's a Black couple, the police will insist, and I've seen this many times, that the woman says what she needs to say to get the brother arrested. Every time that there's certain things that's going on, women have these assistances. When it comes to shelters, women have that. When it comes to government fund, women have that. The Goldman Sachs fund that they have now, the funds that they're giving away in Atlanta that they have now. We have never seen that happen when it comes to Black men. So the first time that we get something out of trauma to say, okay, well, what about us? Not thinking about the fact that every time we do something, it's always that same thing. And it's like, when can men have something? And I'm not saying that women should not be included, but when it comes to women, especially our sisters, they have inclusion. They have already had their inclusion. They've been included better than any Black man has. And the sad thing is, look at the manosphere. What happened? Women ran to YouTube, see what we were saying, and then they started the woman sphere. We had MGTOW. They started woman TOW. Every time we do something, they run behind it and do it as well. And it's like, men can't have something on their own. When it comes to the barbershop, women are there. When it comes to the gym, they had lifestyles and all that, had gyms just for women, but they still come to where the men are. So to act like there's no inclusion when it comes to Black women is bullshit. Let's just keep it real. And then this is another thing we all got to stop doing as Black people if we want to actually do something that we're trying to do to help what we need to help, because young brothers do need help. If we see each other out there killing each other, taking each other's lives, going to prison all the time, that's happening more with our Black boys than it is with our Black girls. If women keep saying every time, oh, Black men need to do better, then you see an initiative like this to happen. And like she said herself, it was not really government funded. It's a philanthropic type situation to try to help. But they're saying, what about us? And then they're saying the LGBT and everybody else needs to be included. That's the problem. Y'all, that makes no sense to say include Black girls, but then you say you want to include the LGBT community, and it's more white people in that than it is Black people. That makes no sense whatsoever. No sense. Jay, you can go ahead and run a video again.
And do more, and we can do better. Right now, it feels like we're having a conversation that's grounded in scarcity. And that makes absolutely zero sense to me. We are philanthropy, right? And so we have the resources and the ability to go where government can't or won't. We actually get to be bold. We know anecdotally that women and girls, particularly our girls, are in as much crisis as our boys.
We ask young people what they would do if they woke up the opposite gender the next morning. This is 3rd grade. If I woke up as a girl, I would feel insane and would kill myself and jump out my window. And then I would put lipstick on. More scared to walk home because I might be kidnapped or raped. I'd kill myself because boys get to do things girls don't. I wouldn't want to lose my privileges. I would feel stupid, go back to sleep. I would not come to school, and I'd really hurt myself. The girl said, if I woke up a boy, I would rap like a boy. I would exercise like a boy does almost every day. So having the freedom to play, having the freedom to rap and voice who they are, I would have fun flirting with girls. Sexual harassment. I would have a different mind, like a scientist or something.
We have to see ourselves both able to talk about gender and able to talk about race in the same breath. They don't have to be separate conversations. So when we say, oh, if you want to deal with women and girls issues, go to the women's donors, we have to remember that there is not a racial justice conversation happening there.
Well, the main argument that's been made for the focus on African American men and boys has worked its way around this canary idea. If we look at racial disparities, we're looking at them as indicators that the environment is toxic for all of us. So yes, targeted interventions are necessary because it's important for the entire community that is in this toxic situation to be lifted out. The problem in the way that the metaphor is now used is that, first of all, people think that the boys are the canaries. They think that the canaries are sick because there's something wrong with them. we think that the way to make them well is to give them breathing apparatuses so they can navigate this toxic situation. We don't think it's important to actually clear out the toxic dimensions of the situation. And we certainly don't think it's important for the girls who are also sitting in the same toxic situation to also have some kind of interventions. So it's both individual as opposed to structural, right? And it's gendered besides that. So in fact, excluding the girls is what makes it work. If you say that all of the canaries are sick, it doesn't make sense to equip all of them with little breathing apparatuses. When you say everybody is affected, then you say, okay, everybody out.
Some people might say there may be more programs for girls. And we're saying now's the time for us to have a gender inclusive lens within this racial justice movement. Our girls can't wait. They can't
Pause
afford
that real
to wait.
quick, Jake.
Our boys.
Now, y'all seen how she just said there's more some would say there's more programs for girls. It is. There's more programs for girls than it is boys. So do we look at the parents that's not putting them in it? Do we look at the parents and how they're raising their daughters if they're not doing it right? We see more parents talking about raising their daughters as boys. Raise them to not need no man. And real talk, they're going to need men. Especially if they want to be heterosexually married and all that, you're going to need a man. And the sad thing is they're not trying to pay attention to that. But like I said, it's just leeching off of that. And then you got these educated black women doing that to these black boys. So they're running around trying to get the benefit that they're talking about for boys. But then you'll have these stupid ass other females over here saying that black men need to get their shit together. But every time we try to, y'all run and say what y'all supposed to get from us. So I respect where Israel's coming from. This is what making me be like, yo, we got to talk to the men because this is some bullshit right here. Let me get to the comments real quick. Shout out to Red Illusion. He says, good job brainwashing those kids. Yeah, magnificent. Ain't it, Red? Brother Hurricane J-Dub in the building. What's good with you, bro? He says, skirt. What up? He said, yes. Look at the parents. Also, Red Illusion said, raising kids without gender roles is like raising them without vegetables. Man, look, if no vegetables, no water, they don't even know how to take a bath like they're supposed to. But that's what we're seeing more and more of. And it's always the women that's jumping down. And they're like those white liberal women that want to jump in and say, we need to correct everything. You know what I mean? The ones that anything you can do, I can do better. But then at the same time, they want to make sure that you're giving them special treatment. It's a damn shame. Go ahead, Jay.
Can't afford to wait.
Many people really don't know what's happening to women in our community. They don't know that we lost more property than anyone else during the mortgage breakdown. They don't know that we lost more jobs than anyone else during the recovery. They don't know that most of us have $100 of wealth. So we need to step up and tell a story about the particular way that we're suffering in our community as well. And we need to have these conversations with each other. When we're sitting in the beauty parlor and this issue comes up, somebody needs to say, well, I don't think it's right that our girls are excluded. I don't think we're treating them as equals when we don't even care about what's going on in their lives. So this is something that we do have control over. It is our community. It is us. The question is, do we care enough about us to say something about us?
So Jay, before you go to the next video, I want you to take a moment out. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Like, what do you have any thoughts about it, concerns about anything that was said, or like, you know what I mean, just in response to what they were saying in the video?
You fighting tooth and nail to make me be a part of this tonight, ain't you?
No, I ain't trying to make you do a whole bunch. I ain't gonna bother you too much. Like after the videos and the article, I'm gonna ask you like, no, that question, then we'll just keep it moving. You letting the dog talk for you?
Man, from what I saw in that video right there, it's always gonna be that. Like, that's the argument that I've always heard women say anytime there's like anything that's about to come out for the boys. Even they even showed it in that TV series with Megan Good. Dude was talking about, yeah, we need to get some opportunities out here for these boys and stuff. And there's always a lady coming out the backwoods talking about, well, what about the girls? What about the girls? Girls do have more programs out here to help them. Women like that, they don't even understand. For black women, you kill two birds with one stone when it comes to affirmative action. They're hiring a minority and they're hiring a woman. Boom, they gonna hire you first. Like women have advantages that for some reason they sit around here and act like they don't. They even have a government safety net to help them when they fall down. Men don't have any of that, especially black men. Black men have been the most disenfranchised group of men in the entire United States since the beginning of it, and it's gonna probably be the same way till it ends. But sitting around arguing for black women, they put black women in front of black men. That helps separate us even more. So all that shit they was talking about, man, I just tell them, like, I understand how you feel and all that shit, but you need to shut the fuck up because it's bullshit.
All right, I hear you on that. Back to the chat real quick. Red Illusion said, apparently you don't care or else you would glorify the family. Thank you. Not just sitting there saying, oh, the boys getting help. What about us? What kind of shit is that? And I'm sorry, but that does sound like that stereotype that black women have been so-called, quote unquote, put on them and they've accepted. That sounds like some neck rolling shit. I know they get shit, but what about us? Like, you can see it. You know what I'm saying? And we're not talking about the family structure no more. If y'all want the men to be able to be leaders again, why do y'all want to cut us off at the knees when we're trying to make strides? Y'all getting all the assistance and stuff that y'all want and need. And just like Jay just said, y'all able to get certain things that we can't get. The only shit we can do is go look for a job or some shit. We don't get the same opportunities. But damn sure ain't getting them handouts. People Podcast said Red. And then Red Illusion said, good answer, dog. And he also said boys don't even got the Boy Scouts anymore. Yeah. I don't see that shit no more. I don't see it at all. All right, Jay, you can go ahead and upload the other video, man. Like this next video on some other shit for real too.
It's very courageous of all of us to be here. I know a lot of us are seriously targeted, like our lives. My partner is Mexican Palestinian. I'm fighting a life sentence for a brother right now. And we're targeted, and it takes a lot of courage to stand up. So this point of this exercise is to notice you're not alone. We're doing this together. And even when you're physically alone, be right there with you. Be right there with you.
They say life is a game of chess, but no one's man enough to treat us like queens. Ladies, remember you are queens, and no matter how hard they try, they can never rape the royalty out of you. Pick your crowns up. This one's for me, for you, for her, for them, for us, for the girls relearning how to look themselves in the eye, who stand tall just because a woman should. This one is for the death of my innocence and the birth of my womanhood that will never be stolen from me. Cheers.
This hearing basically began with the observation that the common sense conversation that we've been having in communities of color.
Jay, pause the video real quick for me, brother. So I'm sure y'all could see that white woman that was next to her. That's the one helping her make these videos. This lady right here is Kimberly Crenshaw. I went to look at her bio and stuff, and it says she prefers to keep her relationship hid. And I'm like, okay, why would she do that? So apparently she may not be with a man. And I see this happen a lot of time where women that are of the same orientation that they date and mate with are the main ones we see a lot of times that are doing these type of movements, like BLM. And I got some other stuff to bring up on that next time. I may do a part 2 of this to dive a little bit even more deeper into it. But that's what we're seeing. The women of the BLM that started that was actually, women of the LGBT community, but it was supposed to be for black boys. And then we see these women jumping on the bandwagon to get their own movement and move along. But the funny thing is, the white woman that was sitting next to her, Laura Lane, she's also a law professor, I believe at Columbia or one of those colleges. And the crazy thing is they always make it seem as if the men are just trying to take all the power. Even in this situation where Obama started this initiative, it was for boys facing trauma. It was not for young rich boys. And then they said it was for the fatherhood and helping. But at the same time, if our fatherhood, especially in the black and brown community, is so terrible, why would you say, what are you doing something for them? It need to be for us. And it's been going on for a long time, but y'all haven't been helping us, even though y'all can get a home when you make mistakes or bad choices. What do we end up? Behind bars. Real quick, let me go to the comments. A boy Hurricane said BLM, the gay women Marxist. So that's what we're seeing a lot of. And we just got to be honest, bring this information out and actually dissect it, because there's a lot of words being used. They use a lot of word salads, tossing them around, and it may go over people's head. And as well, they make it seem as though it's because people don't care about black women, and that's a lie. Black men at a high rate marry black women. So to make it seem as though we don't care about each other or we don't care about them is real bullshit. So this is something we have to bring to light and actually talk about. And again, like I said, it's not about black women not having anything, but it's the fact of some black women trying to stop black men from having something. Go ahead and hit play on the video, Jay.
Sense conversation that says men and boys are the primary object of racism. Women and girls are doing okay. Women and girls don't need any particular intervention. Women and girls don't need studies. They don't need resources. They don't need programs. So how are we going to work together to make sure that girls and women do not have to wait for the attention they deserve? Well, one of the ways we do it is we don't wait to start talking. We don't wait to get an invitation from the White House or from the caucus to come and tell our stories. We can create spaces to tell our stories. We can find commissioners to hear the stories. We can find experts who have experienced the stories. We can find young women who embody those stories and have overcome them. We can do that ourselves. So that's what we've started to do.
You didn't come here for a show. If you did, you're in the wrong place. You came here for real life and for real strategies for change, for systemic change. Well, you have some educators here who are generously offering education and for you to learn from girls of color and their experiences.
As recently as October 2nd, when I got arrested with 12 other people as a part of the Ferguson 13, 9 of us were women, 4 of us were men that were out and got arrested just for speaking up, just for chanting, "This is what democracy looks like." 9 of us were women. And then as we moved on and we realized that there was work to be done, we started to try to get around the organizing tables. So we formed, my organization, Millennial Activists United, which is entirely women. And we realized that that door wasn't so open. The door to the street was wide open. They were willing, and I say they as a community, we're willing to have us sacrifice our bodies. We're willing to have us sacrifice our lives. I never got pulled off the front line as a woman, but at the table, that door was closed. And even more so, we have to be out here, because if we don't speak for the women that are getting killed down as Black women, then who will? History has shown us that if the mouths of the oppressed don't speak up, then no one will speak up for you.
The way God taught
Pause
us
that
to
real
be was
quick,
not
Jay.
to just in girls.
Okay, so the problem I had with that, we know, especially as men, for too long, Dr. Umar Johnson was dragging his feet on certain things, so we had to call him out. But what I will talk about is the fact that when the situation happened with Sandra Bland, when the situation happened with Breonna Taylor, and a few other sisters, he was front line talking about this. He was front line helping to push the Say Her Name movement that they started. He was front line talking about brothers and sisters. And we seen the videos and we spoke out when the little young 5, 6 year old black girl that was in her class, and I'm sorry, I think she was like 12 or something. She was on her phone and the officer came in and manhandled her, ragdoll style. Then we seen the officers that came to that birthday party where it was a group of black kids, a group of white kids, and the officers was manhandling little girls. Even Steve Harvey, the tap dancer of all tap dancers, spoke up on the radio, and his co-host had to stop him because he was like, "That was my daughter, police or not." They go, Sherry, whatever her name is, don't do that, Steve. You can't do. He was like, "I'm just letting you know what time it is." Dr. Umar Johnson as well. Plenty of black men spoke up on that and protested against that. And the sad thing is, these white liberal women got all races of women in this country thinking this bullshit is true, or you're not respected because you're X, Y, and Z. How could you say that when people are putting their life on the line for their women, going to jail for their women, working their ass off 9 to 5 or 7-Eleven or 60 hours a week to take care of their wife and family? They're sitting here lying. This is America. All right, my boy Red Illusion said arrested for just chatting in Ferguson. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they was acting the fool. It was some people acting the fool. I seen the CNN coverage. I seen it. It wasn't just no chance going on. I understand the duress. Trust me, get it. I get it. But let's not sit there and just act like you just chatting and you ain't doing something wrong. If you say you riding for the cause, then that's what happened. That's the equality y'all asked for. So if you go out there acting like a man, you get the same treatment of a man. Now you're saying, oh, that's wrong. Come on. Go ahead, Jay. Run a video.
Close, so I was locked in an attic. I remember being locked in an attic for 2 weeks, and she would come and like slide bread underneath the door, and she would say, "You're gonna learn that as long as you think you're an animal and want to appear in the streets, this is how we treat you." And that day was my redefining moment. I put all my clothes in a suitcase. We lived in a 3-story home. I tied all my bed sheets, and I said, "This is it." And I jumped out the window, and I remember hitting the floor. But when I hit that floor, I felt so free of pain, free of neglect, and free of shame, because I refused to live in that. And oftentimes, a lot of the people who said they loved me, they didn't understand me. So how can you love someone who you don't understand?
I had no faith in the foster care system. I saw no care. When I was 8, they didn't help me, so I didn't believe they'll help me now. But my mom needed help. I saw my mother relapsing. I met with the caseworker, and I started to tell her my situation. Before I could finish, she asked me, how old was I? I told her 17. She asked me, when will you be turning 18? I told her August. Her response went from apparent willingness to help to, we'll see what I can do. I wanted you to think about a time in your life when you're moving forward or backwards or staying in the same position, and the hinge of your balance of what one person wants to do for you. That was a very common place that you would be in the foster care system.
So we were hidden. So I didn't go to welfare because I didn't want no one to know I was homeless. Because the first thing they're going to do is worry your children. I couldn't go down to get the housing authority to help me because the first thing I'll worry your kids. My kids were my responsibility. They were and they were going to remain that way. So yes, we struggled probably a little bit more. I could have went and got help, but that would have messed up our whole family dynamic.
Rapes of Native women and girls
Pause
is
right
so high
there.
up on my trouble list.
See, that's the bullshit. She said she was too proud to go down there in the welfare system. All right, so why you didn't go? Let them know, stop doing it then, because she just sat up there and talked about all the sisters that she can get, that women get, overwhelmingly, the majority they get. Not us, especially not brothers. We ain't getting that. And they, all this and Anyways, let me go to the chat real quick. What up, Death Note? Death Note said, before I go too long, what up, chat? Hurricane says, slide bread under the door. Red Illusion said she should have been the one in the attic. Damn. Hurricane says that big chick ain't need no paper to talk about her life. He also said she could have went and got help. Yep. And then Red Illusion said, mm-hmm. All right, Jay, roll the tape, man.
That during a group discussion with young girls, the question was asked, what would you do if you were raped? A young Native girl stood up and said, well, my mom and I already talked about that when I'm raped, we won't report it because we know nothing will happen and we don't want to cause problems for our family. The reality of this 14-year-old girl wasn't a matter of if she's raped, but when.
Is held between all of us. Women, we get beat for no reason. I was raped when I was 9 years old. Nobody was there when I was raped. Nobody helped me. And when I went to the cops, they did nothing. The man is still running the streets. You let rapists and you let. When I was 15, about 7 years ago, and they released him. They acquitted him after 5 years of being in jail. You let killers and rapists on the streets, but you enslaved young people when a lady shot off warning shots in Florida for 25 years.
I didn't want to view it as a racial issue. I didn't want to until I followed some cases down the road a couple of months later. A white woman went to go buy drugs from the projects. She got thrown from a window. The city paid her an enormous amount of money, made sure she was taken care of. She's still living to this day. A little while later, a woman's dog got shot by the police. They immediately fired the police officer. Immediately gave her, compensated her, and said their apologies. You want to know what they said to me? Well, you close your eyes and you will see exactly what they said to me. Nothing. I went down to the mayor's office, we rallied, they wanted to get us arrested. The superintendent of the police, he said the shooting was justified. How is the murder of a young Black woman justified? It's not. That is innocent. You tell me what the justice is in that.
We went to trial. 4 of us went to trial. Me, Venice Brown, Renata Hill, Terrain Dandridge. We went to trial. Before trial, they kept a lot of evidence out of trial. They wouldn't allow us to talk about our backgrounds, from some of us being raped to police brutality, police harassment, men harassment.
Pause
They
the
wouldn't
video
allow
real
us
quick,
to talk
Jay.
about it.
Well, they dropping that R bomb a lot, ain't it? Let me go to the chat real quick. Hurricane said you got the pause at the right spot. Look at the big chicken on the back of her face. She got the Triple H nose. This chick look like a D boy on the east side of Detroit. Also, this Negro crying like a simp. The girls in the room tougher than him. Man. My brother Israel said it wasn't warning shots. The bullet barely missed the son's head. The father already had restraining on her. Oh yeah. Hey, Israel, after we done with this video, I want you to come up and speak on that, because I was looking in it, but it happened so many years ago. I just remember hearing about it and being like, damn, how they do that sister like that. So I want you to definitely come up on the panel if you're free after we get done with this video. My apologies, y'all. They keep saying that R word a lot. So if they drop it a couple more times, we're gonna have to go ahead and just go to the dialogue part. So Jay, go ahead and roll the tape.
In trial to justify why we reacted the way we reacted. The media dehumanized us. They called us vultures, a wolf pack of lesbians. We had no chance. We was found guilty before we even went to trial.
And one thing I wanted to talk about today, is thinking about, in all the really powerful stories and testimonies we've heard, that oftentimes women, in addition to doing these things, are responsible for caretaking, right? So, while we're being harassed by those construction workers, we're walking home, rushing home often to feed our brothers and sisters that we're responsible for, right? So while we're dealing with being immigrants, xenophobia, the oppression that comes along with maybe being undocumented, we're also running with our mothers to the doctor's office to be translators. That's right. Right? So while young moms are dealing with being young moms, we're also cleaning up beer bottles maybe from our uncle, making sure people are coming in safe at night. And this often adds, undue pressure in our own lives, right? Potentially, pushing us out of school, forcing us to get, jobs, second, third jobs, working late into the night while we're still responsible for caretaking.
I spent a big part of the summer interviewing the Black women in my family for this book I'm working on familial relationships with trauma, sexual violence, language, and food. I never heard the words rape or sexual violence or sexual assault in my house as a child, though I saw the effects of it on the faces of my mother and my aunties. So I asked my grandmother directly about her experience with rape and sexual violence. My grandma was in a wheelchair now, so
right,
she
Jay,
had me
you go
wheel
ahead
her
and pause
around
the
to the
video.
side of the house.
Yeah, so this is this an old video, so this is why they keep dropping the R-Brown like that and get away, but we can't just drop it like that. So I guess we're gonna have to go ahead and cut the video right here. Hey Jay, you got that article ready? I'm gonna read these few comments real quick. Let me see. Red Illusion said, "Life is hard. Give us more free money." Hurricane said, he said the R word again, laughing emoji. Yeah, we just gonna go ahead and go to the article because yeah. They say that word like they saying up or what. Anyway, Jay, you go ahead, pull up the article. I wanna read something to y'all that I found very, very interesting in the conversations that we're seeing that they're having. So these are the things I would say we got to look out for, man. Us as men, and like I said, it ain't nothing to go against women. Want to stop them from doing what they got to do, but at the same time, you can't tell us to go and fix ourselves and then hang around our ankles and neck like an anchor and stop us from doing so. So the title of this article, and once again, that white liberal lady that y'all seen sitting next to Kimberly Crenshaw is the person that wrote this, and it's called. The title is "My Brother's Keeper, My Sister's Neglector: A Critique and Explanation of Single-Sex Initiatives for Black Boys." Now, mind you, this is a white liberal woman that wrote this. Go ahead and scroll up, Sanjay. It's gonna keep going up a little bit. Go down, because I want you to go to where. No, go back up, because I want you to go to where the paragraph starts. Right there. Perfect. All right, so it says abstract. The urgent problems facing Black boys and young men have triggered the proliferation of single-sex initiatives aimed at tackling these obstacles, namely public single-sex schools and programs like President Obama's My Brother's Keeper. Black girls have largely been left out of these initiatives, despite facing many of the same barriers as Black boys and disadvantages of their own. This article identifies, critiques, and explains the disproportionate intervention for Black boys. It argues that these single-sex initiatives are a poor policy tool for fighting racial oppression because, one, there's no evidence that these boys-only initiatives work to achieve their stated goals. Let me read that again. There's no evidence that these boys-only initiatives work to achieve their stated goals. Two, statistical gender gaps between Black boys and girls are not large enough to warrant disproportionate intervention. Let me read that again. Statistical gender gaps between Black boys and Black girls are not large enough to warrant disproportionate interventions. Now, we see what's happened to Black men and boys for years and generations, from radio to newspaper to television to now internet and social media. They're saying these things are not enough for us to have specific plans and initiatives to help Black boys versus helping Black girls too. And Kimberly Crenshaw is the one that phrased the term intersectionality when it comes to racial inequalities. This is the white woman saying this. She's helping her mouthpiece to say these things. All right. So 3, these initiatives have great potential to reify destructive aspects of dominant Black masculinity. It then employs critical race theory to explain how this current disproportionate intervention is part of a historically based discourse that prioritizes Black men's needs over Black women's. Cast Black men. Hold on, you can pause right there. You're gonna F me up. I ain't that fast of a reader. Cast Black men as privileged victims. It casts Black men as privileged victims of racism and seeks to restore patriarchy in the Black community. Let's chill on that for a second. It's helping to restore patriarchy in the Black community. So you're trying to say that once you help Black men stop being special victims, they can go back to acting like white men that y'all swear up and down has kept y'all in bondage. This is crazy. All right. So finally, it predicts that these initiatives will continue to proliferate for 2 reasons. First, the current legal frameworks, specifically Title, I always mess this up, y'all please excuse me, 4 and the Equal Protection Clause do not necessarily prevent the increasing disproportionality of these initiatives and the resulting unfairness to Black girls. Second, there is insufficient political, you can pull up there a little bit, all right, political will to halt the expansion of these initiatives. They face little to no political opposition, even from politicians on the left who claim to champion gender equality. So now they just point fingers at everybody. Go up a little bit. All right, that's it. So I'm gonna drop the link in the chat for y'all, for anybody want to come up and talk about these things. So while I do that, I'm gonna speak on it a little bit. So the crazy thing about this that's bothering me. So when Black women had their issues and Black men were coming together just to talk about what the issues were and how we can try to fix them together. You know, how we had the Nation of Islam, when we had the Black Panthers, when we had the Pan-African movement, National African movement. All these things where we working together to come together and try to help one another and stay as a family. Then you got these white liberal women that are looking at it as, well, we're trying to fight our man, and it's harder fighting our man, so we'll help every other woman fight their man, then they'll come along with us. And as I keep saying for the longest, with Amy Schumer and Monique, Amy Schumer got her 13 million, and Monique had fought this Netflix situation for the last 6 years. So, or 7. So you mean to tell me that when they get what they want, they're fine? But while they're not getting what they want, they're going to help all the other races of women. And then once they still get what they want, they haul ass. We keep seeing it time and time again. If you look at Black women, 1 out of 4 likely to get married, white women 2. Tell me that white women know to go back home when they're hitting the wall. Not saying all of them, because you see it's only 2 out of 4 that get married. So they ain't that much better than Black women. I got the link in the chat for anybody want to come up, have a discussion about this, because it's sad, man. Like, as men, we really got to educate each other on what's going on. We don't see it. Every time we see guys talk, depending on their age, you know what I'm saying? We got some elder brothers that come through and very knowledgeable and get it. But the problem overall, it's not that way. You will have guys that will stand up for this stuff, even though they're saying that these Black men don't do it, but we see it all the time. We see that more than we see guys like us over here in these spaces that are talking about this situation. We see it more. But they're trying to make it seem like they try to minimize it. We keep hearing, oh, black men don't do nothing. You hear Cynthia G all the time. You know, Jay do a video of her once or twice a month. So we see it all the time. We see all the whole squad of pigeons flying around talking all this trash that they're talking, but try to make it seem like this is not what's going on. They try to make it seem like we're not caring. We're not looking out. We're not dying for y'all. We're not going to jail for y'all. We're not working for y'all. We're not fighting for y'all. And it's a lie. But you piggyback off what we got going on, and then you want to run off and go get your Goldman Sachs and do your thing. But the funny thing, the ironic thing is, we see J-Lo up there, and J-Lo like, yeah, don't forget about Latino women. Like, there go Karma. Y'all been doing that to us for years. Still doing it. Now you got some Latino women like, yeah, what about us? Don't feel good, do it. You had Corey Holcomb speaking out against it, and he was going off against J-Lo. But they say black men don't say nothing and don't try to stand up for nothing. All right. Gonna bring my boy up. Got my boy, We the People, a.k.a. Israel. What's good, my brother?
What's going on, bro?
Chilling, man. What you got on the discussion tonight?
Good topic, man. Very good topic. You wanted me to talk about the Marissa Alexander case.
Yes, please do.
So, the prosecutor from Florida who tried to prosecute George Zimmerman was actually the same prosecutor who was prosecuting Marissa Alexander. And she herself spoke out on that case because the Rainbow Coalition, NAACP, they all got it, and all them liberal women's groups got involved, and they lied for her. They said that she was firing a warning shot. However, they were trying to get her on that stand your ground laws. So they tried to pretend as if she was a victim of domestic violence, which she wasn't, according to Corey was the prosecutor. And she said that they tried to work with the girl. They gave her a plea deal, which she rejected. But what it was is the man, it wasn't her husband, it was her boyfriend. Or her baby daddy, rather. He had already had restraining order out against her. They weren't living at the same residence. She came over to his residence. They got into an altercation, and she shot at him in anger. What they leave out is the bullet almost hit his son. It was like 10 inches over the son's head in the kitchen, not in the garage as they tried to say it was. They tried to say it was a warning shot fired in the ceiling of the garage. Well, her story didn't make sense because if you were in the garage, if he locked you in the garage, why you ain't just let yourself out? You're in the garage, like, and he's in the house. You could just lift up the garage door and go out. She lied. She tried to shoot at him in the kitchen, barely hit his son. So that's why she didn't get the stand your ground defense. Also, again, she was already on a restraining order. Basically, she was one of them black girls that like to play police games. She get mad at you in an argument, she call the cops. They had a history, or she had a history of doing that to that man. They actually tried to get him to testify against her. He just wanted to wash his hands of it. So he wouldn't even testify to help her. He was like, I'm done with this. I've been trying to get y'all to help me and the safety of me and my son. Nobody's coming to talk about that. Y'all want to make it seem like I was abusing her and I'm at my house. She came over here when she wasn't supposed to come over here. But what was going on, that was Trayvon Martin really had brought attention to all of that. So you had Trayvon Martin, you had Jordan Davis, and then you had the Marissa Alexander thing that all jumped off in Florida right around the same time. And then shortly after that, Mike Brown jumped off in Ferguson. And that's when Black Lives Matter movement really started to steal the thunder and create that whole mockery and fuckery and what they did later. But Marissa Alexander should be in jail. They ended up getting her out because it was real political, but she did this shit. And that's what's fucked up. And the prosecutor said it. She was like, I tried to give her 2 years. Basically, she would have got time served. She stayed in jail because she wanted it. She still ended up doing 2 or 3 years in jail anyway. So she could have just did the 3 years, admitted what she did. She didn't want to do that. So, but anyway, they ended up getting her out eventually a couple of years later because there was so much political pressure because of what was going on with the black men, with Trayvon, Jordan Davis, and Mike Brown. But yeah, it wasn't a warning shot. And I get tired of women trying to play that victim role when she was the aggressor. She was the aggressor.
That's what I'm talking about now. They keep naming people, and it's like, but if you look into certain cases, like that ain't it. Don't use those people. And I'm glad you said that because I forgot about it because that was like what 6 years ago or something.
No, that was what, like 2010, I think.
Damn, 10 years. Over
Yeah,
10 years.
yeah,
Ago.
it's been a good little while. Yeah, it's been a good little while.
But they keep doing the same thing, and I also want to get your thoughts on. Oh, hold on, my bad. Let me not miss the chat. We got Bronze Flat Power God in the building. Says salute. What's good with you? But yeah, I want to also get your thoughts on this because for the longest I wasn't paying attention like that. But it's like the more I engaged in the manosphere, started having conversation with guys, and then it's just like information. Like shout out to the brother Dr. T. Hassan Johnson because certain things he bring up, I'm like, yo, I wasn't paying attention to that.
Yeah, Doc is good, man. I chat with Doc all the time, man. Him and BGS and Obsidian has even been on fire lately. You know, a lot of these brothers have been putting in the work for a long time. A lot of us, I'm gonna put myself in that category, and we have to start supporting each other. And that's kind of what I was saying to Jay in his chat the other day. I couldn't get on and I couldn't talk, so I guess my messages wasn't coming up clear what I was trying to say. But we have to support what brothers are doing because there are brothers that are doing this work, but we got to support them. Even a brother, for example, who's doing the blackdemographics.com, we got to support that. You know, donate $5 a month, donate $10 a month. The brother, that website is invaluable to us over here in this space. But brothers are doing it. The problem is we don't support each other. We don't take time to find out who is actually doing the work and what we could do to help them. You brought up T. Hassan, you know, Dr. Hassan Johnson, even GG, Green Gorilla, BGS, all of them brothers, you know, with the 14-point black male agenda. That's important. We all need to be supporting that.
Black man being brutally honest, like you got a plethora of brothers out there talking about these things, and it just blew my mind to see that they were coming against my brother's initiative, my brother's keeper initiative, and saying, well, what about black girls? And then you seen the one lady, I don't know if you've seen that part of the video, but she was like, now some might say there's actually more programs for black girls, but we need more. It's like, whoa, wait, hold on.
They always discount it.
Y'all need more?
That was her discounting it. So she knows for a fact, like we do, there are more matter of fact, there are no programs for men. In many cities, there are no programs for men. Domestic violence is they try to make it seem like it's a one-way thing from man to women, but domestic violence is bi-directional. And in fact, more men are the victims of domestic violence, but there are no resources for us. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And I remember going down to these domestic violence places with my kids. I had my 3 kids with me, and took off work, just got out the hospital, and I called ahead of time. Yeah, come on, we're gonna come help you. When I get down there, they like, well, what are you doing here? I'm like, y'all told me to come. Oh, we don't help men. What do you mean you don't help men? I'm the victim. I was attacked in my sleep. I got hit in my head with a bottle. I had 7 staples in my head. I had to go fight to get my kids back. I got court orders. Oh, we don't help men. I went to Youth and Family Services. That's what it's called here in Charlotte. Oh, we don't help men. What do you mean you don't help men? It's Youth and Family Services. Oh, we only help women and children. Then why is
Then
it
they need
called
to
Youth
name it that.
and Family
Exactly.
Services? Oh, the girl got smart with me. Well, I didn't make up the name, but you worked there, ma'am. I remember this conversation with her like it was yesterday. Ma'am, your Youth and Family Services, that's like saying you're a Kentucky Fried Chicken, but you don't sell chicken. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, all we sell is burgers. Why you think, and get mad at you for asking. Why you asking us about chicken? Because you got chicken on the sign. I was so embarrassed. Me and my kids was young. They was like 7 and 8 years old at that time. To get put out. You know, I'm going through my own trauma, you know, and dealing with what I'm dealing with, you know. They did
That's
not
another
care.
thing. Like, yo, when they talk about with the police situation, how many times, countless times over the decades, we have seen where even when a man has done nothing wrong, you still can go to jail if a woman called the police on you, even if she's lying. I'll give you a quick
Yeah.
situation.
The only
One
thing
of my
that
older brothers. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
One of the situations some years ago, one of my older brothers, his ex, came to our house starting problems. And he was like, yo, just leave me alone. And she had on his jacket. And he was like, yo, and give me my jacket too. So at first she was acting like she was taking it off. Then she tried to struggle. And he was like, what are you doing? Then she pulled out of the jacket and then ran to one of our neighbors and started crying and called the police. Now, police come. I'm there as a witness, like, yo, my brother didn't do nothing. Officers asking questions. See right here, fake crime. And then he had fake crime. Officer pulled me to the side. Guess what this clown gonna ask me? Man, listen. Come, it's okay, bro. You can tell us the truth. Did your brother hit her? I looked at him like, motherfucker. Bro, even if my brother did, he didn't. But even if he did, what would make you think I would say, yeah, he did, officer? Go ahead and take it. So when they talk about the police situation, how you gonna sit there and lie and make it seem like they're not quick to come get us for anything we do, whether it's that or child support? It's bullshit. Go ahead.
There
What
are
you was about to say,
no
Israel?
resources for men. I
Right.
mean, none. Even single men with kids. And this is the reason, like, when you see the low, like when men have when the single father is raising the kids, they very rarely deal with the courts. They don't even bother going to get child support, nothing like that. It's like a ridiculous amount of number. It's like 98% of single fathers don't have child support orders against the mother. It's something, it's crazy. You know, because we don't win. You know, that's why on Dr. Hassan's 14-point black male agenda, the number one, the first initiative is family courts.
Yeah, that's an awesome video. Yeah.
That's he's been working on this for about a year. You know, this thing just popped up. You know, we've been talking about this for at least a year. Now it's starting to catch traction because now the numbers are starting to come in from the last 10 years worth of elections, and they're starting to see that black men are pulling away from the Democratic Party, and they're trying to figure out why. Well, we've been telling y'all why. It didn't even it started before Trump.
You saw the
It started with
video
Obama's
with
second
Roland.
term with Mitt Romney.
You saw the video where Roland Martin and that black lady on MSNBC was talking
Yeah.
about Stacey Abrams, and she was like, black men just need to get in line. They're sitting there telling you black men is gripe with the Democratic Party, and all you said, because black women are leading so much, we need to just get in line with them. What kind of bullshit is that? Who you think you talking to?
Like I said, me and a lot of these other guys who've been in this space for so long, we've been saying this the whole time, that the Democratic Party, my entire lifetime and beyond, there has not been one initiative, not one piece of legislation specifically for black men. Not one.
Israel, I'm telling you, we're not. I'm glad we're having the conversations now, because I'll tell you how brain dead I was, and I'm ashamed to say this, but I'm gonna keep it real. Hold myself accountable. I've been watching No Shade. I've been watching everybody since at least 2015. So it took that long for me to be like, the hell with this. I got to get up. But it took me touching the stove so many times and getting burnt so many times for me to
Yeah, yeah,
realize what was really going on.
yeah, yeah. And that's a lot.
That,
You know, COVID helped wake a lot of people up because it forced us to examine shit that we was just ignoring before. So
right,
that was the paradigm shift. You always got to have a shift. Usually it's a war, it's some kind of health crisis, it's things of those natures. So that's what happened to happen. COVID just came along at the right time, and a lot of men, a lot of black men was now you home, got time to look at the manosphere. You know, thank God for Kevin Samuels. He gained a lot of traction and brought men from outside into that space. And then they started
right.
saying, okay, what else are other men talking about? Yeah, okay, that
Mm,
stuff Kevin is doing cool. But now they got exposed to O'Shea Jackson. They got exposed to Obsidian. They got exposed to Dennis Ferlin, to Dr. Hassan, to Gigi. You know, they got exposed. Wait a minute. It's a lot of these men out here talking about issues that are important to me. Now I'm paying attention. Now I'm
mm.
really in tune. And that's what's going on with the manosphere. Um, But the politics, I mean, it's a big thing. You know, people say, oh, the manosphere is not doing nothing. The fact that they call this out by name on MSNBC is big.
Oh
Is
yeah,
big.
yeah, yeah.
That's a
They
big
talk about it
thing.
being in schools now. Young men are talking about it in middle school and high school
Yeah,
now.
I was surprised even with my youngest son, you know, he's 14 and his awareness of things. And I was like,
Mm,
damn, wait a minute, you know about this? Oh, yeah, yeah, dad, I follow him. I'm like, really? Because my kids don't live with me anymore. So I'm like, you ain't get this from me. You learned this on your own. And him and his friends, you know, they get on the little PlayStation and they got their little chats on the PlayStation and they talking about red pill issues. I'm like, wow. At 14, I was impressed. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Um, and we had him up on the show one night. I think was that you? No. It was somebody I let him come on one night on somebody's show. We was talking. The brother was talking to my
Jay,
son
right?
live. No, I don't think. No, it wasn't. It might have been Jay's show, but Jay wasn't on there that night. It was somebody else that was on. But
Death
yeah,
Note.
he. No, it wasn't. I wish it was Death Note. Death Note and my son would have had a great conversation. It was somebody else. I can't remember who. Somebody that's not
Mm,
here a lot, you know. But it was a good conversation, and I didn't want to dictate the conversation. I wanted y'all to see it for yourself. Like this ain't me giving him instructions. This is him talking for himself, you know. So
mm.
I just let the guy he basically interviewed my son. So I didn't know what they was gonna talk about, you know.
I
But
wanna ask you a question because this is something serious that we see that there are educated black women using white liberal women to move this movement, and it's gone from just not against black men, but now black boys, even black boys that are being killed by the police. What would you
they've
what
always
would
done
you
that.
say? What would you say is, because this is something I want to really work on? What would you say the type of organization uh, um, protections, if you will, that we would need to put in place? Because you know they're gonna do it. The more we see black men making these programs and organizations of our own, you know, trying our best to even stay away from government and them being able to run things. What do you think we need to put in place? Because you know they're gonna try to protest and come against it. What about black girls and black women? What about, like, what would you say we would need to put in place of these things to ensure we're able to stay focused on our young brothers and doing what we need to do as men?
Um, well, it starts here with these conversations to make more men aware of what's going on. But they've always done that. This is not
Right.
something new. They're just starting recently. First, white women just basically they used black women as a proxy in the beginning in second wave in feminism, and then black women flipped it and they basically stole the victimhood card from white women. So they're kind of it's like a reciprocating they're like a reciprocating thing that black women and white women are doing to each, you know, to help each other out. and they're kind of starting to include LGBT people in that too now. They'll running, LGBT. We saw that with Umar, where he was on there with Hope Gassell. She was saying "we" as if she is a woman, as if she had the same struggles that they had, but she was just freely able to say, "We did this," and you was a dude yesterday. What you mean we? But but as far as to answer your question, we got to just educate our boys and have these conversations. I think, and we need to plug into what's already going on. So you have you got Dr. Claude Anderson's Harvard Sense Institute. We need to get more involved in that. We got Dr. Hassan Johnson with his the Onyx report and his 14-point black male agenda. We need to focus on that too. I think that's what we need to put our focus right now, because we got to be able to change policy, and whether we do it on a local level or on a federal level, the structure is the same plan. And women are going to do what they do. They're selfish. They're going to always. And I brought this up the other day with Jay with Briefert's Law. They're going to always make sure they get a net gain. That's the nature of a woman. They're gonna say whatever they got to say and do whatever they got to do to make sure they come out on top. That is female nature. That's Briefert's Law. I was posting that in the comments on that video. But that's what they do, when we got to stop being naive as men and believing what they say. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, and do whatever they got to do to get their way. That's why they don't have no problem. Yeah. That's why they don't have no problem breaking their wedding vows. They will break them wedding vows mean nothing to them. As soon as they don't, even once they get what they want, it's the second. That's what Dr. Robert Briefault said. The second they get what they want, everything goes out the window. Everything. I mean, the moment. So a man could do everything he promised to do. And yeah, baby, I'm going to love you forever. As long as you do this, do that, do that. As soon as you as a man do those things, boom. I'm not happy anymore. Wait a minute. I just gave you what you wanted. I'm not happy anymore. You got to do more. And they lie. They call themselves the most educated. The truth is, black women are the least educated demographic in the country. They're less educated than black men. Black men graduate at a higher rate than they do. Yes, they're more enrolled, or they were more enrolled at a particular point. I don't even think that's true anymore. But their graduation rates have never gone up. They're the least, the lowest group to graduate. Black men are still ahead of them. We beat them damn near in every statistical category.
And they actually have the most student loan debt too.
Yeah, because they go to school forever. And you know what? When they get a lot of these government programs, one of the options is they go to school or they go to work. So a lot of them, they don't want to go to work. So they want to sit their fat asses at home on Section 8, smoke weed, fuck Pookie and Ray Ray, and take little online courses. So they'll go to school forever working on that fucking bullshit nursing degree and racking up debt. Just racking up debt.
Real quick before, because I want to add something to that, but let me go to these comments real quick.
Yeah.
Note said, be careful speaking on a virus. So I guess we might as well say C-19 again. You know how that shit is.
Oh yeah, my bad. Coco 19.
Death Note also said, when he was talking about your son getting interviewed, he said, it wasn't me. I'm the GOAT out here. He wouldn't know if it were me. Yeah,
nah, Death Note wants to talk to my daughter. He don't want to talk to my son. He wants to talk to my daughter.
Is she grown, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna marry him off. That's gonna be his wife in a couple of years. He just don't know it.
Okay. All right. Let the father be the one to vet. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We got Angry Snowman in the building. He said, swinging through the check-in,
snowman,
show my support. But he said, get out of there, Israel. Red Illusion said, The totally real and not man-made virus. Gotcha. And Hurricane said, "Woo, facts, fire." So I want to say on this. I think another thing we gotta talk to men about, because I've been doing that a lot on my shorts and videos lately. We gotta get men to understand how to be stoic again too. Stop trying to
Great
show
word.
so much emotion to these women. You gotta stay balanced, because the minute that, like, that's how women operate, is being agents of chaos. They figure or feel that if I get this man a rise out of this guy, that means he love me. Even if it's a Pookie and Ray Ray type situation. Say you ain't even a dude, because I've been there before. Say you ain't even built like that. Like, hey, I'm not trying to sit around here and argue and get physical with no female. That's a lose-lose situation. But they would do anything they can to get a rise out of you, because they think that's love, because it's chaotic. It goes along with their emotions and feelings. So now you sitting there looking like a damn idiot and going along with it. And I think that's, as we do more programs and networking together as men, when they come around crying, got to be stoic about it. Like, listen, you say you want more productive men to be leaders in the community again. That's the only way we're going to do it. That's it.
Well,
if you have a problem with that, that's on you. But we got to teach men to be stoic again.
We got to start having an intellectual discussion instead of conversation. See, conversation by definition can just be sentiment and opinion. That's what a conversation, just two people talking, sentiment and opinion filled. And you're not learning anything. But intellectual conversation suggests that you put some effort into the material to knowing what you're talking about. We need to move away from conversation and into intellectual discussion. Because women aren't accountable. No, just in general. I mean, with them too. Because see, when you hold them to standards and to some kind of decorum, they're gonna run off anyway. How many times have we seen that on this channel? When we hold them to a standard, they out of here. They take, oh, I gotta go. I'm late. I don't want to be bothered with you. All we did was ask you a straight up question, yes or no. And they get frustrated with that. They get frustrated with accountability. They're so used to being able to deflect, not being accountable. They'll use the words. They'll say, oh, I'm accountable, but we know what accountability sounds like. And I kind of got on Grace. The other night with that. When she said, oh, it's slim pickings out here. Well, first of all, sweetie, you don't pick. You get picked.
Right.
That's the first thing. But what I said in the comments to her is what's working against her is poor choices and biology. That's not slim pickings. So when you're accountable, you won't even use the word slim pickings as if it's the market's fault, because you're shifting blame to the market and thus shifting it to the man that, oh, it's just not enough men out here. No, there's plenty of men out here, and even Obsidian just broke this down the other night. It's so ridiculous. I've been saying this too. Like, you take Atlanta, they've been saying, oh, it's like 10 men, it's like 10 women for every man. Do the math and tell me, is that possible? That's not possible mathematically. It doesn't even get that bad population-wise until like the people are in their 70s. But at the age we are now, it's only like a 2 or 3 percentage points difference in population. So it's plenty of men out here. It's plenty of educated men, as I just proved. It's plenty of men making money because we make more money than them. It's plenty of high-earning men out here. They just don't qualify for those men because of their poor choices and their biology. But they don't want to be
anyway.
They don't want to be accountable for that. I'm
Let
sorry.
me hit
You
this.
made choices early in your life that are affecting you now. You don't get a do-over. You may never get another man. You probably friend-zoned your men earlier, 20 years ago, that you should have married.
And now
That's
you
your
want to go
fault.
back for Hell no.
Right.
Hey, real quick.
No, you want to blame
Israel.
men? Yeah.
Israel,
You want to
read
blame
this,
the
read this comment.
I can't see it, man. I'm not on my tablet. Go ahead and read it.
Okay. Death Note said, Israel, you would hate me as a son-in-law, and she would hate me as your pick.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
He a freaking asshole. Death Note, but he ain't like this in person. He just talk shit like this on
Nah,
here. It's
me and
his
Death
free
Note
time.
talk all the time. I think they will work together, to be honest with you.
He a good dude, man. He just this is like
I ain't
this
gonna
like,
be there, so I don't know
remember
what the fuck they gonna be doing. I'm gonna be minding my
Israel.
business.
You remember the National Enquirer?
Yeah.
That's like Death Note. Like he work at the newspaper, but reads that on his free time.
Yeah.
That's Death Note on that bullshit. The Angry Snowman said, "What up to Death Note?" Red Illusion said, "We need hearings, documents written." Also, he said to your point of what you told Grace is actually Slim choosings. LOL. And Hurricane said, "There's plenty of men. She got them in the friend zone. She want to be a thought
That's what I
pocket."
just
Damn.
said. That's what I just. Well, I didn't say that because I don't know it well enough to say that. But I mean,
we
just
hear the language all the time.
just I'm gonna put it like this, and I like Grace, but I'm gonna be real with it because that's what I do. If a man is looking at a woman that's identical to her, that's her. He's her type. He likes that type. So take a woman who's identical to her with no child. Why would he choose her? That's what she gotta ask herself.
True story. True story. But
so we can't even say, oh, it's looks, it's this, it's that. No, it's something else, and you got to figure out what that is.
It's internal. It's internal, and a lot of women. But see, this is what we have to do about these spaces. When women, and it's no shots and no woman, but when women come into these spaces, you gonna get held accountable. Words matter.
Right,
you
that's
can't
what I was saying, man.
Just say anything. Yeah,
and when she said Slim Pickens, man, it burnt me up. I was like, damn, I wish I can get on there right now. I just couldn't, Slim Pickens. No, There's plenty of men out here. You got to look at you and say, what is it about me that they're not picking me? Because you don't pick. You don't pick. We pick. And I think a lot of women struggle with that,
Because
where are all the men going and all of that kind of stuff?
They know they give the okay for access. They know that, but then they get mad when we think they know this, and it's so sad. We say this, but it's like this is common sense. But common sense ain't that common no more. When we say what you just said, it's like, yo, I'm gonna step to you. Reason being, because women don't do the approaching. That's not always like if you some very handsome, popular, rich guy, maybe, yeah. But even they have to be careful because you got dudes like Trey Songz and Chris Brown still going through what they're going through. So every woman that approaches them might have some kind of agenda. How do you get all these allegations, but ain't nobody been arrested yet? You can't sit there and tell me just because they're rich, excuse my language, they niggas. You're not gonna sit here and tell me the police wouldn't easily be able to convict them. So it's got to be something that is bullshit in the water. So to sit there and say, oh, when you man and got this and this, you got the oyster. No, that's not always true. Men with means have to be careful how they carry themselves even more because you can be a freaking target.
They are targets. That's what we're saying.
Right. So men have to be the ones to approach. That means we have to vet you. And y'all know that. That's what y'all say. You see these women talking about we out in groups and ain't no man approaching us. And then you'll hear guys say, well, I don't want to have to deal with you and all your friends. But if you was a real man, it wouldn't matter. I got to come up, try to approach you, approach these hyenas, buy all of them drinks, and take all of them out. And I ain't got time to even play them games. I'm just not going to even approach you.
Well, biology,
do it.
They wasted their youth. That's when they're supposed to find husbands. In their 20s, not in their 40s. So you're past, I mean, they all of these women that these chameleons, as I call them, they claim that they listen to Kevin. Kevin talked about this night in and night out. You're past the wall. Your choices are not what they were 20 years ago. So again, it's not slim pickings. This is the result of your poor choices earlier in your life. Now you have to reap what you sow. You may not get a man. You may not get another man. I'm sorry. That's your choices. You made choices, but you can't blame it on the marketplace. The marketplace, actually, they created the marketplace because men, you go back to 1950, we were perfectly happy getting married at a 90% rate. They are the
You still there, Israel? Okay, I guess he you gotta go in and come back out. All
I'm here.
right.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I'm gonna
My
read these two
bad.
comments real quick.
Yeah.
Oh well, one. Definitely say was just responding to a statement. Words matter. Yeah, you cut out on the part where you said was the last part where you said about the man making the choices.
But yeah, men were happy the way things were. We were getting married at a 90% rate. Women
Right.
decided they weren't happy. So they created the marketplace that we have now. And now they're complaining about the very marketplace that they created.
Let's dive into that for a quick second, because I think about it and I try to analyze it a lot because I want to come at it from a try to come at a different angle. So I'm just
Yeah.
questioning it, right? Because I was thinking to myself, well, is it really on the women and feminism them choosing that? Because I'm like, all right, you got men out there were doing wrong, wasn't doing things they should do, but then even after that, fast forward to 100 years now from the 20s and stuff, women are asking men to go back to being the same. So I question myself and think if it was so bad, then why do you want to go back to that? But then you got to talk about the part where they want to still be able to be modern, which is I can dress how I want, I can talk how I want, I can act how I want, I can post online what I want, I can go anywhere I want. So they still want it to be that, and it's like they want their boyfriends to be like the fathers that were like passive aggressive, like the ones that are now come on now you shouldn't be doing that, Darla. And then no, I'm
Darla,
this blah
God,
blah blah
dog.
blah.
He said Darla.
But
Yeah.
you get what
Oh.
I'm saying? It's like they
Yeah.
want us to be passive aggressive fathers.
Well, what it is, they want to deflect. So
Okay.
and get they always want the grass is always greener on the other side. So they on one side, they want what's over there. They get over there, they want what's back over here. So what they're
Mm.
doing today is they want to pick and choose. I did a short today called reverse. You can't reverse engineer people. So this is what women want. They want Pookie and Ray Ray, but they want the benefits that come with the good guys. So
Mm.
they want to take. It's like a build a bear. They want to take parts of these dudes, put them with these dudes, and make the perfect dude that they want. That's what they're trying
Right.
to do. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And men are saying, okay, no problem. If that's what you want, here's what we're gonna do. We're just not gonna participate. That's how men roll. Now, as far as
Right.
this mythological traditional man that they keep saying they want is bullshit. It's a made up thing. Cause I know I was raised by that silent generation man. Those men were lazy. They didn't do nothing. They went to work and they came home. That's what they did. That's it.
Mm.
They wasn't cooking. They wasn't cleaning. And I don't want to hear these women, well, my dad was different. Everybody got the little anecdotal bullshit. The majority of those men went to work and came home. They gave their wife a check. The wife paid all of the bills, gave him a little cash to, spend down at the pool hall on the weekend, and he went back to work on Monday. That's the vast majority of us. Women weren't sitting at home. Black women weren't housewives. The majority of black women always worked from 1865 to now. It's never been a time where the majority of black women were housewives. That's a rare thing. They act like we ain't got families. My mom got 5 sisters, one aunt who was able to be a housewife. That's because she married a fucking doctor. He was a PhD engineer for AT&T.
Mm.
Just the one. Everybody else had to work. Everybody, my grandfather was one of 13. All of his brothers and sisters worked. all of their lives. So think about your family. How many women got to sit home at any point in history and just sit home and be a housewife? I'll wait.
Man,
That ain't us. That's
probably
not who we are.
probably my grandmother. Everybody else was working though.
Because you saying probably like you can't even guarantee that's true.
Yeah, I can't even guarantee that for the whole
See?
part.
And grandma might have had a side hustle. She might have been doing some cooking on the side and selling
Oh, she
plates
she
and
was in the
Tupperware.
church. Oh yeah, they was always in the church
Right.
selling plates and
So she
everything.
had money coming in. She might have been
Right.
doing housekeeping, babysitting.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I almost forgot. My grandmother, she did work for the most part because
See?
she actually used to take care of the grandkids for the family that made the Bush family or whatever, the Bush beer, Bushheimer and
Yeah.
all that shit. She actually used to babysit their grandkids.
See? So this whole myth of black people, oh, I want to be a housewife. We don't come from that. We don't come from that.
That's
That
not
was
in this
some
country.
white, not us, never. Never.
But see,
In no country, in no point in history has it ever been that.
Did you hear that one part I read in the end of that article where it says that white lady was talking about they're helping black men as special victims to help them go back to their community and restore the patriarchy?
Well,
now, but this is the thing. You got women like Cynthia G that say black men have never done anything. We've always struggled. So what patriarchy are they talking about?
well, that's my point. We've never had a patriarchy in the black community. We've always had a
Exactly.
gynocracy. We've always had
Right.
some form of gynocracy or a misandry. That's always been in our community. We've never had a patriarchy, and never, not even during slavery did we have that. We were under a patriarchy, but black men weren't the top of that patriarchy ever.
If we had businesses together, you can look at those documentaries from the Black Wall Street. Our women was always with us. We were side by side riding together.
And you
So
don't
this
even have to
whole
go. You don't even have to
patriarchy,
go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can go to Rosewood. You can go to
Rosewood,
Wilmington, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. You can go to so
Ohio.
many cities around the country. That's how we operated. We always work together. They decided we want to adopt this white women victimhood, and we want to go get our own money so we can do what we want. Well, congratulations, you got what you want. Here we
and
are.
also, like Khaled said, congratulations, you played yourself.
Right.
They played themselves. They played themselves. I mean, you got what you wanted, but you didn't realize the responsibilities that come with it. So you wanted special treatment when you had to deal with the consequences of your actions.
And now they mad at us because they got what they want. We didn't ask for this. We did not ask for this.
Fam, I had this chick. I was watching a little Peep show. This was like a year ago. This chick, I think she was like Jamaican or something like that. So she was talking mad shit. She was like, "It's y'all fault because y'all allowed it." And it's like, motherfucker, we ain't make those laws. Do you not know which group of men
we
you're
don't
talking
control.
to?
We never controlled the educational system. We never controlled any economy. We didn't control the prison industrial complex. So there are things that black men did drop the ball on. I'm not going to totally, but that's not the point of this conversation. We're talking about the women's responsibility.
Right.
And it's time for them to acknowledge they can't even say we fucked up. They can't even say that. And that's what I was pointing out with Grace with the it's slim pickings. Not one, see, an accountable thing would be, you know what, I made mistakes. That would be the accountable thing and just leave it at that. They always shift it to something else. It's the market, it's the men, it's
and you know what
racism.
I think it is, Israel? You know what I think it is, Israel? I think women sense of account, their definition or meaning or what they grasp or perceive of what accountability is, even though it's just holding yourself responsible, basically, that's the net of what accountability is. They look at it as, okay, I want put a man on child support for leaving me, and if he don't pay like he's supposed to, I want you to put him in jail. Our frame mind of is just, yeah, I did. That was a bad decision. That's it. And try to learn from it and do better.
Yeah,
I think
we'll be
women,
like, you know what, I fucked up, dog.
I gotta charge that to the game.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I
their
gotta
sense
take the
of
L
it,
on that one.
I think their sense of it is when we say that, they think that we want them to beat themselves up or some shit, go put an orange in the sock and hit themselves in the head with it. And it's like, what word are you talking about? That's not what accountability means, sweetheart. It just means I fucked up. That's all it means. And trying to do better and learning from it. That's all that is. We're not trying to beat a dead horse and then turn it on the other side and beat it on that side. That's not what
We
we're
just
talking
want
about.
you just to be accountable. Just say you fucked up. It ain't gotta be no more than that. Just here, yeah, I fucked up, and let's move forward. That's what they struggle with. And that goes back to Briefer's Law. And that he wrote a book. He was he wrote a book called The Mother. He wrote a bunch of books, but the one I'm talking about is The Mothers, where he really gets into the female pathology. And he says the female, not the male, determines all the conditions, quote unquote. The female, not the male, determine all the conditions of the animal family, where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male. No such association takes place. So what he's saying here, if she can't get some kind of benefit from you, she won't even associate with you. What does that sound like? Friend zone. They'll put you in, if a chick thinks, oh, he can't benefit me some kind of way. It don't have to be money. It could be a number of things. Money, prestige, status, sex. It could be anything. Whatever she thinks she could benefit from. If she doesn't see a benefit, she ain't gonna deal with you and throw you right in that friend zone. This is what
That's
he's
even
saying
she
here.
puts you there. Some women will not even acknowledge you in any type of way, shape, or form, and just be on some get away from me shit. You know, the ones they put in HR, the ones they report to HR,
And
and they will get rid of your ass.
So yeah, he was a surgeon and an anthropologist who did come up with these laws. And a woman may very well have received past benefits from her relationship with a man, but this does not guarantee her continued relationship with him. So it don't matter what you did. Once you gave that thing to her, let's say it's a date. Once that date is over, that don't mean she guaranteed to deal with you from that point forward. Because the benefit that she was trying to get from you was that date, that nice restaurant.
A foodie
The
call,
food,
yeah.
as we call them now, a foodie call. This is what he was, and he was describing this 100 years ago. Even when a woman promises to continue the relationship with the man in the future, in exchange for some benefit derived from him today, her promise is worth nothing the moment she has received that benefit. So she'll tell you whatever. Yeah, you go out with me. We gonna go to Steak 48. Yeah, I'm gonna give you some coochie. Blah blah blah. Later on, we gonna go get a roll. You do all what you said you're gonna do. You hold up your end of the bargain. As soon as that date is over, I ain't tell you I was going to the room with you. 100 years ago, he wrote this.
Let me hit this chat real quick. Hurricane J Dub said, "Build a thought." Red Illusion said, "You're wrong, Israel. Women are this, that, and the third." Now this one, I like what Red said on this one. Red says, "You are privileged victims of the oppressed patriarchy." What fucking privilege do we have for that? When that white lady wrote that in her article, I'm like,
It sounds
yo.
like she's describing a woman, not a man.
Yeah, for real. I'm like, you're not talking about us. Like, what are you talking about? We didn't get homes after you know what I'm saying, after Jim Crow and all of that. We didn't get homes. They did. Y'all did. While men went out to wars, that's where the projects came from. Was for women and children families. While men went off and
It
fought
started
wars,
off.
black men as well.
It started off with the white woman, and Basically, she had to prove whether it was two ways she could get benefits from the government. She had to prove her husband died or he abandoned her. And she had to be married. In the beginning, you had to be a married woman to get those benefits. And then later on in the 70s, well, later in the 60s and 70s, they changed it to all women. And that's when black women started jumping on it. And that's where you see the marriage rates plummet because they started introducing no fault divorce came from California. I think they were the first state to do it in 1969 is when they did no fault divorce. But it was a group of laws. It wasn't just one particular laws doing it. I mean, it was so many laws that came into effect. And basically, they just incentivized people not to be married.
I remember also family members being able to women run away, get pregnant, and then get into the system. Red Illusion had a question. I'm gonna let you answer this, Israel. He said, "Can a feminist be reverse engineered?" You still there, Israel? You muted. Israel, you muted. You there?
Wait a minute.
Okay. There you go. All right.
Yeah, anybody can change, but my question would be who? So can a man reverse engineer her? I would say hell no, because Briefer's law already tells us no, because you don't control anything. The female controls all of the conditions. So that's what Briefer would say. But can the woman reverse engineer herself? Sure. The woman can do it, but she has to decide to do it. A man can't do it. She controls everything according to Briefer.
There you go. That was his answer, Red Illusion. Hurricane said,
I hope that makes sense.
I hear you, because I don't think so either unless they choose to do that. But Hurricane said, yes, a feminist can be reverse engineered. You got to give her that good stick. I don't think that work no more, because a lot of them, they taking carpet munching if you get my drift. They don't want the stick no more. Or if they do get a stick, it's gonna be the plastic and rubber one. They don't care about that no more. Like, their minds are so fixated on power and domination. They're telling us we got benefits that we don't even know we got because they don't exist.
We as men got to stop lying to ourselves about this magic stick shit. Okay, we got to stop thinking, oh, if you fuck her right, she gonna act right. Okay, show me where that's happened at. Show me an example of that. That's that strong man argument, the weak man argument. That's that deflection bullshit. Stop thinking like that. The woman controls everything. She controls every part of that association.
He said with an actual stick from a branch.
No, you can't beat it. So we going back to Harpo now? Beat her?
You told Harpo to beat me.
Nah, that ain't gonna never work.
We could do the intellectual.
You have to change the environment. Okay, that's what you have to change, and that's what we're trying to do over here in this space, and that's what Dr. Hassan Johnson is trying to do with his 14-point black male agenda. We got to start changing the environment, because women don't control the environment. They don't control culture. We create culture. They transmit culture. So we have to create the culture and build the environment, and they're going to respond to it. But as long as we keep the environment the way it is, we're going to keep getting the same results.
True story.
Simple as that.
I think that a bigger issue. Did you Israel? Did you close out YouTube? I'm getting feedback. I think another big issue is like we talk about all the time over here in these spaces, men have to change our minds first. That's the biggest thing we have to do so we can start changing our environments. And also be very focused. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't allow yourself to be in a situation where, you know, you keep dealing with a woman and you know it's no good for you. You know what I mean? Like, it can cause so much pain, especially if a child comes out of it. I did a short talking about how um women these days and people in general think that it's okay to have a child with somebody and then that's once y'all break up, that's it. No, that's like marriage. It's technically being married because you gotta, sponsor the child till they're 18 or 24 if they decide to go to college. And then for the rest of your life, when you're dealing with your child or children, you still basically gotta deal with that mother. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to separate a situation where, say, it's graduation and you want to be you might sit on the other side of the auditorium while your child is graduating, but the mother is still there or the father's still there. Holidays or birthdays, weddings and things of that nature. If they have kids in the family, you still got to see them. So guys got to be careful and learn to protect their seeds as well. And until we realize that that's what we have to do and be serious about it, it's going to be an issue. It's going to always be an issue. And we have to change the environment. We have to create our environments and change those situations as best as we possibly can. And actually, we have to change those situations and actually work towards what we want to work towards. Red Illusion said, I don't know what that is. Hijabs seem like they would work. And Hurricane said, facts, we need to change the environment. So I appreciate everybody for coming through. I'm about to go ahead and end this live, but I may do a part 2 on this as well on my channel, Out from the North 18. If y'all not subscribed, please make sure you go over there and subscribe as well, because I think I'm going to do more deep dives into this conversation, because this is something that we really have to pay attention to. The fact that women are doing these things, jumping in the way and trying to have control over situations and keep getting special treatment, saying that we're the ones that are the, so-called special victims and gonna get patriarchy back. I don't know what the hell that means. But before
Well,
we get out of here, Israel, go ahead. What's your
well,
last
we
thought?
know what they're going to do. We know they're going to sit and complain and deflect. Stop talking to them. What men need to do is get together and do what we always have done: build the society, build the environment. I told Jay that, I think, the other day. We didn't consult with women to go build any society. We just went out and built a society. And then once it was built and the structure was in place, we brought the women to us. We didn't
Right.
communicate with them ahead of time and get their opinions and all of that. We just went and did the work. And that's what we need to start doing right now. We need to just do the work and let the chips fall where they may.
Good way to end it. All right, Jay, where you at, brother? Where you at? Before we get up out of here, let my boy Jay, my show producer, go ahead and get ready to cut us out. Where you at, Jay?
He
Don't tell me
probably
you over
ran
there
to go
sleep.
put his damn pocket on so I wouldn't say nothing.
He ain't gonna get on the screen tonight. He trying to avoid the jokes. He said I was pissing him off last night. Jay, once again, let him know where to find you at before we get out of here. Israel, you as well. Let them know where you go check you out at.
Well, y'all know to come on over here to the JVJ Network on Saturdays. I got a show over there, over here. And then Wednesdays and other days, you catch me over on Let's Talk with JVJ, y'all.
All right, Israel, go ahead. Let them know where to check you out at.
All right, I am V Ben Israel, the People's Champ. You can find me on the People's Podcast. Come over there, subscribe. I'll let your boy.
All right, for sure, for sure. So once again, I appreciate y'all. Every Thursday night, 8 p.m. over here at the JVJ Network. Make sure y'all go ahead over there to Out from the North 18 and subscribe. We appreciate y'all. This has been a great conversation. And make sure all my fellas out there protect yourself at all times. All right, Jay, you know what to do, man. Get us up out of here.